Hi, I'm Jack Cush, Executive Editor of RheumNow.com. I want to talk to you about drug safety and the 800-pound gorilla. Turns out most physicians really aren't as good at drug safety as they think they are. When asked in a 2007 survey of over 500 rheumatologists, the vast majority, over 88%, thought that their patients were getting all their drug safety information, or most of it, from the physician, and 98% said it was their responsibility to provide such information. Problem is that when asked what their primary source of information was, they were using largely handouts from the pharmaceutical companies who were selling the product. Meaning that most of us use at hand what's convenient and do it as sort of a as needed basis. It turns out that most of us really should have more of a prospective plan on how to adequately communicate risk to our patients. Think about patients. I mean, where does the information come from? Most of the information, in fact, comes from the pharmacy printout, which is what, 8 pages, 15,000 words, all side effects that ever occurred in a goat in a study in Yugoslavia. Get the patients worried about it because it's listed in that handout. They get, secondly, their most important amount of information from the TV, which is largely designed to cover someone's butt and to deliver the major issues and the most scary issues all in the same sentence while the patient, the example patient, runs through the field of lilies or rides a bike or looks incredibly happy because of that new drug. And then lastly, patients get their information from other well-intended sources like neighbors, hairdressers, their cousin, the pediatrician, who also get all their information largely from the television. If physicians who prescribe the medicines had the primary responsibility and had a plan, I think patients would be more apt to actually take the medicine. And that's actually the major issue. It turns out that up to half of our patients are non-compliant, and half of those are not even filling the prescription. In fact, the number is somewhere around 23 to 33% of patients don't fill prescriptions given to them by their physician, especially when the drug is particularly expensive and certainly one that's going to change their therapy dramatically. Fred Wolf many years ago did a study that showed that patients who were asked about medicine changes, they were reluctant to make changes, largely for fear of the unknown. They were more comfortable living with the devil, so to speak, than the devil they don't know, and were reluctant to change for fear of what could happen and a loss of control. So really we need a plan. When is this going to occur? Does it occur at the first visit, at the second visit? Does it occur with each new prescription? Do you do it in waves? I would recommend that actually you cover the big side effects the first time, you review it the second visit, along with the minute side effects, and then patients need handouts. But really what patients need is understanding, clarity about what the potential benefits are versus the potential risks. And this is where the 800-pound gorilla comes in, because to the patient, every item on that 8-page handout from the pharmacy is equally important and could devastate and ruin them, when in fact things they should be worried about, and then everything else has to be put in context. But before you begin any discussion on safety, you need to tell the patient, we can discuss each one of these features that you may be concerned about, a history of lymphoma, the possibility that you could have stomach issues or that your hair could fall out, but let's first consider the 800-pound gorilla in the room, that being your disease. And let's say rheumatoid arthritis is the example. It is the disease that will hurt you, maim you, deform you, disable you, maybe make you live 10 years less than what you should live, all because of uncontrolled inflammation. And if we don't step up and treat this very aggressive disease with very aggressive medicines, yes, that does have side effects, then you may be harmed way more by the disease than by the drug. So it's the 800-pound gorilla versus the flea or the dust on the floor or whatever minute side effect that usually has a 1,000 risk. So they have to understand the magnitude of risk. They have to have the risk conveyed to them in a manner that they can understand, using charts that have 1,000 figures and how many figures get that side effect out of 1,000, or a speedometer, or an example relevant to their daily life. These are all difficult things that need to be communicated in the course of your short visit. And that's one of the big problems, is that often there isn't enough time to do the communication, which is why it happens to be that we need to have a strategy, and one that's an ongoing strategy for risk communication. There are patients who, however, will forever be doomed by whatever you give them. They're the negative thinkers, the doomsday thinkers. They say routinely, don't worry, doc, if it's a rare thing, I'm going to get it, because they believe that the umbrella of safety doesn't apply to them and that they have a black cloud following them and that all bad happened to them. They need to be informed that, in fact, their risks are the same as everybody else's, and that it's unusual for everyone to get every side effect and every negative thing that could possibly come down the pike. So to speak to them and put them back on earth about the real risks that can occur with them and this new medicine is important. And lastly, you should make the very strong point about why you're giving this medicine, and basically about speaking from strength, meaning that the medicine I'm going to give you is in fact a medicine that took over 10 years to develop at a cost of $1.5 billion and involved over 4,000 patients in clinical trials, has been given to nearly 2 million people, at least of this drug 10 years ago, and this drug was made for you, exactly you and your kind of disease. We know everything about its safety. There are not going to be any surprises here. We also know about its great potential for benefit in you, and that's why I've chosen this for you. Moreover, I've chosen this for you based on 30 years of experience in practice and using this kind of drug in hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of patients. Again, speaking from strength can be very comforting to the patient because they don't want to believe that they're a guinea pig or that they're the first person to ever get on this drug or that those rare side effects are likely to occur with them. So again, develop a plan, be clear about the actual risks, communicate those risks in an ongoing and regular fashion, and everyone will be happy. Tune in.